Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 394 based on novel. So let's start. When Xiao Yan stepped into the lotus leaf space given to him by Sushuang and went to the meeting for 100 years, something surprising happened to Xiao Yan's destination. His line of sight, following the space passage that Xiao Yan entered, was returning to Doyun continent. As we all know, the Doyun continent is extremely vast. In addition to the 7 basic ancient races and the transcendent power of the Holy See, there are countless tyrannical powers in it. After all, the Do-Di continent is one of the most tyrannical territories in the human world. It is reasonable to gather talents. However, on the edge of Doyun continent, there is a forgotten land. There is a stench here all day long, and there are even countless eerie auras that permeate it. As a result, this place has been abandoned and forgotten by countless humans in Doyun continent. The air is still that smelly energy, which is not suitable for human habitation and cultivation. Outside the land, there is no grass in a radius of 100 meters. There are only some extremely demonic poisonous green vines. Within 1,000 miles, there is no human force. There are countless poisonous barriers and poisonous swamps. The scene is no less than a real country of death, without any vigor and vitality. And the so-called vassals and guardians of the Xiao clan, who were once the first race in the Great Thousand World, are dormant here. At first glance, this is an extremely ferocious swamp area. The ground is filled with water and green poison ivy is squirming. Every time it shakes, countless bubbles will emerge from the swamp-like area. The power of the barrier, every explosion will make this area more bizarre, and above the venom swamp, countless bones emerge. All of these bones are suspended above the poisonous swamp in a very special state. A few are human corpses, but most of them are huge bones similar to monsters. The strange thing is that among those huge beast bones like monsters, there are actually quite weak powers. Those powers are a bit like the anger of human beings. In addition to the core of the poisonous swamp, there is a stack of countless bones. The corpse bone mountain appeared here, and it was immediately embellished with more sternness. And the breath emanating from this swampy area is disgusting, not to mention allowing humans to survive. The bone mountain is extremely huge. From a distance, it looks like a mountain range made up of countless magical beasts stacked with white bones. But from a closer look, there is another mystery. It seems that every piece of bones is arranged in a very strange order, and those arrangements, it's more like some enchantment-like thing, it seems to be isolated and hidden. Wong buzzing. At this time, a certain void in the mountain of bones suddenly became violently restless. What's going on? Aware of this change, a young man's voice with doubts emerged from the bone mountain, and he hesitated. This is. As soon as the buzzing voice fell, Xiao Yang's figure suddenly appeared, and the place where he descended was not anywhere else, but next to the bone mountain. However, next to the bone mountain, there was a place of death covered by countless poisonous green vines. Without the special power and protection of the bone mountain, Xiao Yang would probably die here in an instant. This is a human being. At this time, the figures of the two men looked at Xiao Yang like a transparent person with the help of the enchantment of Corpse Bone Mountain, wondering. What's going on? Asked one of the weak-faced men. I don't know, but our Corpse Mountain was set up by the mistress. I'm afraid no one will be able to see through it. It's just that the location of the Corpse Mountain is mysterious. No other human creature has ever appeared. How did he find it here? Strange. The man frowned. Maybe it was when Miss Shui went out for decades. The other one seemed to remember something and whispered. What is this place? Just as Xiao Yang opened his eyes, he was immediately enveloped by the poisonous barrier gas from below, as if he was in a bright mirror, unable to move, but the poisonous barrier gas contained in it, it was enough to tear Xiao Yang apart easily. What a terrifying power of poison barrier. Xiao Yang frowned. He could not imagine that the power of this poison barrier was not inferior to that of a 7-star fighting immortal. He secretly smacked his tongue. That's not right, I came here according to the lotus leaf that Sushuang gave me, it's impossible to find the wrong place. Xiao Yang looked up and glanced around, trying to find some buildings, but he was unsuccessful. Looking around, apart from the sky-shattering poisonous gas, green poison ivy and countless white bones, there is the extremely greedy swamp area below. Other than that, there is nothing strange about it. While Xiao Yang was not paying attention, the invisible poisonous barrier gas was compressed violently, and suddenly roared away at Xiao Yang. That kind of fierce oppression turned the whole situation into a twist. If this goes on like this, he will die. Looking at this scene, one of the two men hiding in the dark couldn't help but muttered with a solemn expression. "It doesn't matter, our position can't be revealed, this is the order of the mistress." The other one categorically vetoed, but with his strength, he was unable to see through Xiao Yang's specific strength. The dignified 5-star fighting immortal. Small trick of carving insects. Seeing this, Xiao Yang waved his hand at will, and immediately surrounded by amber flames instantly burned these poisonous energy and turned it into countless nothingness. Strange. Where is the guardian of the Xiao family? Xiao Yang frowned after the crisis in front of him was lifted. The lotus leaf has been crushed by himself, obviously it is impossible to use it, and the space here is extremely strange. Xiao Yang vaguely feels that it is not simple. This is Bone Mountain. After Shun breathed, Xiao Yang's eyes and soul power slowly probed towards the Bone Mountain in front of him, and the two men who were hidden under the protection of the Bone Mountain barrier also looked vigilant. Staring at Xiao Yang. The three came one after another, and I didn't know how long it would last. At the same time, in the distant sky, a figure that Xiao Yang was quite familiar with also slowly appeared here. Xu Shao, the newly promoted Huangtang Hall Master of Soul Hall. But now, he is still wearing a black robe, and he does not have any Soul Palace powerhouse around him, but instead has a total of 5 eerie dark coffins. Above the dark coffin, countless ancient and cumbersome evil patterns shrouded out, and an evil and gloomy strange force constantly surrounds and overflows. That kind of power is extremely terrifying. Guardians of the Xiao family, it's better to leave the things you guard to our Soul Palace. Everyone, please treat your old friends well later, and I will not waste my painstaking efforts to resurrect you, Xu Shao said with a gloomy smile. As the voice fell, the 5 dark coffins shook violently, and an extremely tyrannical evil force permeated out. In that power, there is a faint trace of the power of faith, and a wisp of the magic energy in the demon suppression prison that Xu Shao had collected before. Extraordinarily eerie and evil, and never appeared before. What's the matter? After a while, Xiao Yang's eyes slowly stared at the strange bone mountain stacked with corpses in front of him, wondering. With his excellent soul perception, Xiao Yang clearly smelled a strange smell from the top of the bone mountain. Although the smell was extremely obscure, it was similar to Sushuang's aura before, and there was no such thing in this filthy corpse. The presence of any Sushuang made Xiao Yang quite suspicious, and even the countless poisonous gas in this corpse was easily swallowed and destroyed when it came into contact with the bone mountain. Obviously, the bone mountain is not so simple. Moreover, Xiao Yang believed that the lotus leaf space that this girl left for her could not only connect with their place of residence, but also have the advantages of space passage to avoid danger. Obviously, Sushuang's original intention was not like this. The environment here is too severe. If the guardians really exist here, it would be really chilling. Xiao Yang looked at the rugged bone mountain in front of him and the eerie corpse swamp below. Slowly he murmured slowly, as if there was something sprouting in his heart. It's just that this chilling area probably contains some secrets that no one knows about, and if the guardians of the Xiao clan really exist here, I am afraid that it is as the seniors in Yarrow Yuandongshan said, and the Xiao clan is indeed extremely sorry for them. In this area, with a radius of 100 miles, only the bone mountain in front of you is a little weird. Now I'm afraid I can only try it. If it doesn't work, I'm afraid I can only give up temporarily. Xiao Yang glanced carefully, immediately staring at the mountain of corpses made of stacked bones in front of him. For some reason, a very strange aura was released, and Xiao Yang knew that his time was pressing now and he couldn't waste too much time. The foreign evil race, Sin, and Soul Hall, etc., still need to be done by themselves, and the endless fire territory has just been established, and it must be strengthened in an extremely fast time before it can become a pillar in the great world. After resting, a faint sense of sensation permeated Xiao Yang's body. That sense made Xiao Yang feel that there was something in the bone mountain that attracted Xiao Yang, and that kind of thing was definitely enough to threaten the entire body. Otherwise, Xiao Yang would not be able to generate such a fiery fluctuation. It's not too late, let's do it. Break it for me. Without further ado, the dazzling amber flames around Xiao Yang's body condensed into layers of scorching fire circles, which were engraved with dazzling and hot holy flame patterns, cleaning and purifying countless poisons around him. The swamp land, like a ring of fire in the blink of an eye, roared towards the bone mountain in circles. The ferocious power and terrifying temperature actually burned this space and became more distorted, causing heart palpitations. Wang hum. With a sound, the fire circle energy touched the bone mountain, and the entire space became restless, and an extremely boring wave distorted the entire void. Not good. This guy is attacking the bone mountain barrier. At this moment, The two guards quietly floating inside the bone mountain said solemnly. Xiao Yang's origin is unknown, and his strength is very strange and special. Even the two of them are helpless. If Xiao Yang completely discovers the secret of Ji Yushan, I am afraid they will end. I'll act as soon as I can. At this time, it was obviously too late to call someone back, so the two of them could only grit their teeth and said with extremely solemn eyes. This bone mountain barrier is a layer of barrier that wraps around their last territory. Once it is broken, I am afraid that this guy will reveal some of their secrets, so in any case, the two guards also decided that it is impossible for Xiao Yang to break the seal. Otherwise the two of them will become sinners through the ages, and at that time, it is obviously not something they can bear. Soul power. The power of flame. When Xiao Yang's amber ring of fire just swept across this huge bone mountain, a tremor that made Xiao Yang's scalp numb, swept out of Xiao Yang's body, and this power, the source of the fire, was obviously caused by the collision between the flame and the bone mountain. CC. It seems that there are indeed some secrets here. After Shun breathed, Xiao Yang squinted his eyes, and immediately smiled slightly. Damn, increase the strength. At this moment, the two guards looked gloomy, and the dazzling power in their bodies continued to increase the defense of the bone mountain. For a while, layers of smoke filled the bone mountain. For a time, the two came one after another, slowly stalemate. As for the so-called Shu Shao and others, they were secretly following Xiao Yang, preparing to follow him into it, but the two guards were obviously not Xiao Yang's opponents, even if they had bones. The barrier defense might not last long. After all, Xiao Yang is now in the middle stage of the 7-star fighting immortals. With the countless powers in his body, that level is not what it used to be. But in the Mountain of Bones, another scene happened. From the outside, it looks like a mountain of bones stacked with corpses. It is extremely eerie and daunting, but the inside is unique. Because of the protection and isolation of some mysterious enchantments, it is impossible to see the inside completely from the outside. And there is a natural difference between the inside and outside of the bone mountain. The outside is clearly a corpse of corpses stacked with white bones. The bone mountain barrier is like a blindfold to isolate people's sight, while the inside is actually a paradise on earth. Like a paradise, a lot of spiritual trees stand out, and the rolling mountains and springs decorate this place with great solemnity and holiness. Among these mountains, there is a lingering smoke, which is obviously inhabited by humans, and among the mountains that rise and fall, there is a top-notch mountain range, which is filled with an eternal breath of eternal sleep, that kind of power, beyond the 8 stars, stepping into reincarnation. One can only look up. At this time, inside the Mountain of Bones, there is a half-mountain surrounded by clouds and mist. There is a rather simple garden here. There are some extremely rare medicinal materials in the outside world. The extremely fragrant medicinal materials are slowly drifting. Pleasant to the eye, mind-blowing. Most of the gardens are full of lush flowers and plants, and even some of them are quite expensive and high-grade medicinal materials. With the blessing of these things, the medicinal garden on the halfway of the mountain here forms a natural barrier. Drops of crystal-clear raindrops dripped down from these medicinal herbs and trees like raindrops. Obviously, the medicinal garden here has been carefully cultivated and nurtured by people with intentions. Naturally, this appearance has just been watered. At the same time, in this medicine garden, an enchanting figure stands slowly. Just putting on such a back view is enough to amaze countless beauties, and even the 3,000 green silks emerging from the side are falling like a waterfall. Bring its breath and temperament to the peak. The beauty of the world, the stunner, I am afraid it is nothing more than that. And here, Fang is the real bone mountain, and it is also the last paradise where the so-called guardians of the Xiao clan live. As for the woman in front of her who is enough to make everything look pale, I am afraid that she has a very deep relationship with Xiao Yang's 100-year contract. Outside, Xiao Yang was still cracking the bone mountain barrier, and inside, a certain mountain range, one of several mountain ranges, was halfway up the mountain, in a rather prosperous medicine garden. Strange, why are you always restless recently? It always feels like something big is about to happen. At this moment, a shadowy figure squatted slightly, his palms squirmed, and countless ice silks turned into drops of rather soft water, which were poured away towards the medicinal herbs in front of him. The medicinal herbs in front of him were so watered by the woman, making waves of humming waves, and seemed quite excited. Okay, the maintenance of Wanyao Garden has been completed, and it's time to take a medicinal bath. In a short while, I can also completely break through the shackles of the 6-star fighting immortals. At that time, I can resign with the mistress and take up that thing. Xiao Clan, it's really an ancient name, but since you abandoned us ruthlessly, then I At this moment, this handsome brow slowly smiled, but at the end of the sentence, the coldness that froze all things ice and hatred were released uncontrollably. After a few minutes, the configuration of the medicinal bath in Wanyoroyuan was completed. This beautiful figure slowly looked at the cold and overflowing spring pool in front of him, and there was a rare stubbornness in its beautiful eyes. Medicated bath. Although this kind of thing can greatly improve one's physique, in the long run, it has caused a lot of burden on one's body. If it weren't for the special holy flames in his body, I'm afraid he would not be able to bear it. Come on. With a slight murmur, on Qian Ying's body, a trace of silky clothes slowly fell off, revealing the delicate body with a pale face, its smooth and white jade feet. Slowly stepping into the spring pool, it stirs up a little bit of water ripples, which is quite wonderful. Even though he has taken many medicinal baths, this time he entered it, and it gave this figure an extremely cold touch. Compared to the holy flame that devours the power of both heat and ice, it is only slightly inferior. Immediately, this girl was immersed in the spring pool, and the colorful energy in the pool water kept flickering. It was obviously the rare medicinal material that she had projected before, but now it is turning into the purest power little by little, gathers away in its body. With a sound, Qian Ying only exposed above her neck, but at this time, two flames of different colors were slowly entrenched on top of her head. The faint signs of fusion. Two holy flames. If Xiao Yang was here, he would be surprised to find that these two colors of flames are two kinds of holy flames. One of them was clearly the secluded blue and cold flames that he used when he met Sushuang, a strange holy flame that interacted with cold and hot. But now that the Saint Yang ranked after the 15th, Xiao Yang already knew that it was close to the 10th, and this flame was most likely ranked 10th to 15th. This Sushuang is probably not inferior to Xiao Yang in terms of strength and talent. Of course, the premise is that this girl does not have the determination, nor does she have the perseverance of Xiao Yang. In addition, as a woman, she is naturally a little weaker than Xiao Yang. Is there agitation outside? This is one of the places where Bone Mountain enters. I hope nothing will happen. Seeing the two groups of holy flames above her head slowly approaching, Sushuang also ignored other concerns and murmured, and then her beautiful eyes closed gently and worked hard. Absorbing the power of the medicinal materials in the spring water, and neutralizing the two holy flames, the torture that was different from ordinary people and the fierce resistance of the two groups of holy flames above her head made Qiying slowly let out a low voice. At this moment, in the turbid spring pool filled with the power of countless colorful medicinal materials, a beautiful figure soaked in it, only showing the head and the two extremely hideous holy flames. This scene is quite ornamental. Outside world. Strange, how can this thing never be broken? After about a quarter of an hour, Xiao Yang found that no matter how much he increased his strength, it would suddenly disappear when it touched the edge of the bone mountain. At first Xiao Yang thought it was a coincidence. After all, there were many poisonous barriers here, but as time went by, Xiao Yang realized that something was wrong. Soul strength. Yu Mingtian is stunned. Xiao Yang snorted coldly for a moment, and suddenly a strange cry slowly filled this huge land of corpses. Not good. At this moment, a certain void above the bone mountain in front of him shattered like an ice surface, and a crack of about 10 feet slowly emerged. I found you. Xiao Yang sneered, and the ancient ruler of eternal fire stood up behind him. His figure flickered, and he walked directly towards him. The two guards suddenly said Xiao Yang's words when they thought that Xiao Yang was a strong man who was proficient in soul power. What? The two of them just felt dark in front of them, and suddenly a hole was poked out of the bone mountain barrier. A silent black-shirted man approached them and couldn't help but look behind them. Let's lead the way. Xiao Yang said with a slight smile. The strange fire eternal ancient ruler was burning with extremely hot flames on the palm of his hand, and a threat of death swept the hearts of the two of them. Damn it! Being threatened by Xiao Yang, the two of them immediately frowned and cursed in a low voice. The two of them were dressed in rather strange clothes. They were wearing bamboo robes and hats. They were fierce and vicious. They even had a very strange aura, which made Xiao Yang feel a faint sense of intimacy. Obviously, these two people should be the masterminds who prevented him from exploring the Bone Mountain, and even have a close connection with the so-called guardian of the Xiao family. Don't make useless struggles, I'm here to make a promise. Xiao Yang looked at the eyes of the two of them that looked at death as if they were at home, and immediately showed the blood in his body, a fierce oppression, like the mighty righteousness between heaven and earth, shocking with two people. Who are you? Who are you? At this moment, the two guards shook violently, and immediately stepped back a few feet, looking at the genuine blood aura on Xiao Yang's body in disbelief, and lost their voices. As you can see, So, lead the way. Xiao Yang did not make any indifferent struggle, but smiled bitterly. You bastards, still have the face to come back. At this moment, one of the two guards, who was always weak, had a blushing face and roared at Xiao Yang with scarlet eyes. Susu. Xiao Yang, thank you. Let this hall master fall here completely. Just as Xiao Yang and the two guards were arguing, a gloomy laughter, accompanied by countless evil roars, swept across the world. That voice clearly belonged to Sushuang, and in this power, in addition to the power unique to the Soul Palace, there is also a very special power, that is the power of faith. Come on. Seeing this, Xiao Yang's face darkened. He pushed the two towards the inner space of Gushan with a slight force in his palm. After blinking, the amber flames in his body condensed directly in front of him, and the hot waves of fire swept out. Directly it collided with that power of faith. For a time, the entire poison barrier was surging, and countless evil forces and gloomy souls made extremely harsh sounds, and Xiao Yang also followed the moment of the explosion, with the help of the terrifying impact, towards the inside of the Xiao clan guardian. This little really has a hard life. Seeing Xiao Yang escaped with the power of holy flame again, Shu Shao's mouth became gloomy. This guy actually returned safely from the demon world, and he also found the place where the guardians of the Xiao family lived, which made him quite uneasy. With the meager strength of faith, when Xiao Yang cracked the secret of Gushan, he tried to kill with one blow, but unfortunately, Xiao Yang resisted with Shenyang's tyranny. However, the power of belief is extremely tyrannical, and it cannot be confronted head-on as strong as Shu Shao. Even if the photo successfully resists, there will be some temporary sequelae. Forget it, let's get down to business. As soon as he finished speaking, Shu Shao stepped out and walked directly towards the inner space of Gushan. A few coffins were looming behind him, showing endless sternness and strangeness, which contained a hidden breath, turned out to be more powerful than Shu Shao. That guy, will it be okay? The two guards had planned to share their lives with Xiao Yang just now, but they were attacked by a sudden destruction at the last moment. Xiao Yang's self-sacrificing behavior undoubtedly won them a lot of goodwill. Let's go, this matter is the most important thing, and we must report it to Mistress as soon as possible. As soon as the words fell, the two also crossed the mountains and headed towards the top of these dozens of mountains. The so-called Mistress cleaning place. Meanwhile, on the other side. No, the power in the body is dissipated. The power of belief really has nowhere to hide. At this time, Xiao Yang's body fell rapidly, like a runaway meteorite, extremely fast, and was not under Xiao Yang's control at all. Just at the critical moment, Xiao Yang used Shenyang as a hindrance to push the other two away, and he was more or less affected by the power of faith, which is why he has the current appearance. And the so-called power of belief, its coercion and power is comparable to the power of reincarnation. Even today's Xiao Yang can't spy on the mystery. Wang buzzing. After a while, a rather strange scene suddenly appeared in this forest. Xiao Yang fell at a high speed, and his body and strength could not be recovered for a while. He only felt that his body seemed to be approaching a rather soft special energy, and he jumped through it. A region where the energy of heaven and earth is so strong. Are they really here? The speed of the high-speed fall made Xiao Yang unable to open his eyes. The mountains, and the place where he descended now is clearly in the middle of the mountain. It's so tall, it won't be so miserable, right? Xiao Yang's expression changed slightly after he breathed, and he said in awe. Although he is immortal and his body strength is astonishing, the pain caused by this level of falling is probably enough to make Xiao Yang truly moved. Wang buzz. But just when Xiao Yang was thinking wildly, the amber flame and soul fire in his body emitted a rare shock, even fear. What is that? Xiao Yang's soul force stared at the past, but said to himself. The soul power had just invaded, and Xiao Yang suddenly felt two incomparably hot flames floating at the bottom of his descent, and the familiar fluctuations above those two flames made Xiao Yang's body tremble. That is the power of holy flame. Damn, it's too late. Before Xiao Yang's surprise fell, he jumped and fell directly into the spring pool of the medicine garden. With a sound, Xiao Yang's figure descended at a high speed, causing countless waves, and waves of colorful energy that were close to diluting and mottled escaped everywhere. Immediately, two groups of flames of different colors seemed to be frightened and scattered away. After a few breaths, an ear-piercing low hum, accompanied by a pool of bright red blood, floated out. Get out! After the blink of an eye, a figure bathed in the spring pool, her beautiful eyes slowly opened, bright red blood overflowed from the corners of her mouth, and her head was completely immersed in the spring pool. At this moment, Xiao Yang's heart was filled with a feeling of death without a place to be buried. He didn't dare to have any thoughts, and didn't try to investigate the source of the sound. He could only diffuse out his only soul power, completely hiding his body in the spring pool. Fortunately, the soul power of this beautiful shadow did not surpass Xiao Yang, and he was helpless for a while. As for Xiao Yang, he obviously did not have time to appreciate others at this time. After all, the water in this spring is not clear and transparent, but colorful and soaked in medicinal materials. Of course, this is not the main thing, because now Xiao Yang found that the fighting qi and holy flame in his body could not be mobilized, and he could only exert his soul power. If he went out in this situation, I am afraid that Xiao Yang would be stabbed into a hornet's nest in an instant. After the surface of the water calmed down, Zaidu returned to his calm appearance, but no one responded to the voice of Chenying. Shameless, courting death. With beautiful eyes around, she stared at the water surface of the spring pool without any breath. Chenying frowned slightly. A trace of anger has been slowly brewing, traces of strange ice. Slowly from Chenying's the blue silk on the head floated away, and a hot breath containing extreme cold swept the entire spring pool. Strange, why does this power smell like déjà vu? At this moment, Xiao Yang carefully hid in the spring pool, but when the soul force felt this power, he was slightly surprised. It seems, this power, I have seen it before. And just now, because of the influence of the power of belief, Xiao Yang's strength and sight did not return, so he could only perceive the second group of holy flames in the floating spring pool. As for the head that was only exposed by the shadow, it was ignored by Xiao Yang. Wait. It won't be so unlucky, right? The next moment, Xiao Yang's pupils seemed to remember something, and suddenly shrank. He couldn't help rolling his eyes and said, "Boom." Just when Xiao Yang was in a hurry, on the surface of the water, countless ice strands first turned into a dense fog of ice, and then a woman was soaked in the water. The posture of the water snake-like waist left a faint fragrance in the air, and immediately the jade feet gently poured into the ice fog. After a while, the ice mist gathered into countless white armors. A figure wearing ice armor and shackles, like a beautiful woman walking out of the painting, stepped slightly on the spring pool, and then all over the body, countless ice silks slowly beat. Among those ice strands, there was actually a tiny cyan flame. Go. With a cold snort, countless powers, like flying rain in the sky, suddenly turned into countless sharp ice and fire swords, scrambling to shoot at the spring pool below. Those scenes were really appalling. Sushuang, long time no see. And Xiao Yang could only shake his head secretly after sensing the girl in front of him with his soul power. He never thought that this so-called 100-year appointment would meet in such a ridiculous way. Leaving the water, wrapped in soul power, he raised his head and smiled bitterly at the latter. You are Xiao Yang. At this moment, the woman in the air couldn't help but lose her voice, and scenes of dusty memories poured into her heart. Are you Xiao Yang? When this beautiful girl walking in the air stared at the black-shirted man who slowly appeared from the spring pool below, the memories that had long been sealed, like spring water, reappeared in Chenying's heart, and her cold face immediately endured. There was no trace of emotion. After all, neither Xiao Yang nor Sushuang's faces and figures have changed much. With the intimate contact between them, they are naturally very familiar with each other. Well, I'm sorry for being a bit abrupt. Xiao Yang smiled slightly, with a hint of apology. Obviously, this scene was not what he wanted. But I have to say that Sushuang today is not much different from what she has seen before. At this time, Sushuang's smooth jade feet revealed a kind of charm that was close to deformity. With a graceful arc staggered up and down, she stepped lightly in the mid-empty space, very elegant, and her figure was protected by the ice armor shackles. Is as fascinating as the most exquisite jade, with a little coldness and surprise on its cheeks, and the two interlaced. It turned out that its nearly perfect cheek contour was completely exposed. Be careful. In an instant, although Sushuang was extremely suspicious and angry in her body, she was slightly chilled when she saw the countless ice silk attacks roaring away at Xiao Yang. An attack of that level is enough to cause real lethality among the 6-star fighting immortals. Although she and the Xiao clan have many grudges, she still clearly distinguishes between public and private. After the breath, the crescent eyebrows wrinkled, the jade hand squeezed lightly, trying to take back the flame ice silk, but found that the energy has been out of his control. I am afraid it is too late. The ice strands condensed by Yuqing Wanhanyan, who ranked 23rd on the sacred flame list, directly hit Xiao Yang's soul power, and a harsh voice resounded throughout the medicine garden. Among them, the strange thing is that no matter how fierce this ice silk flame is, it cannot give Xiao Yang the slightest oppression. You. After a few minutes, all the attacks dissipated, but seeing that Xiao Yang was unscathed, Sushuang couldn't help but wonder. Now that his power has reached the middle stage of the 6-star fighting immortals, he will break through the 6-star and reach the 7-star in time, and his attack is also mixed with the power of the holy flame. Such a terrifying power hit Xiao Yang, but it was not on him. Leaving any conspicuous scars, Sushuang, who has always been cold and arrogant, can't help but slowly become colder. If it were an ordinary person, it would be fine, but the guy in front of him was clearly a descendant of the Xiao family who had an agreement with him, Xiao Yang, which made Sushuang even more angry and hated. After a while, Sushuang's slender eyelashes flickered slightly, and she looked at Xiao Yang below, but her heart turned violent. Judging from the strength of Xiao Yang just now, it is enough to explain 2 points. Either Xiao Yang's real strength has surpassed her, or Xiao Yang is a strong person who mainly cultivates physical or soul power, but according to Sushuang's perception, Xiao Yang's situation is most likely the first. The 100-year appointment. I am here as scheduled. I hope the girl will tell me all the secrets of the Xiao family. Taking advantage of this girl's surprise, Xiao Yang hurriedly changed the subject. After all, at the beginning, this guy had a lot of complaints about his identity and the character of the Xiao clan, and now the way the two meet is so funny. If it goes on like this, I am afraid there is no way to clear the Xiao clan's position in his mind. After all, Xiao Yang's helpless act just now was no less than breaking into a boudoir that had not left the boudoir. The severity of that, I am afraid that with Sushuang's character, Xiao Yang's corpse would be broken into 10,000 pieces. A 100-year appointment. Sushuang heard the words, her icy eyes glanced at Xiao Yang, and then she spoke without a wave, and her voice was filled with contempt. No, I'll take care of everything for you. As for the secrets of the Xiao clan, you don't need to know, so you can go back. After Shun breathed, Sushuang's eyes flashed with a frightening vigilance, and she fixed her eyes on Xiao Yang. Obviously, after a short period of surprise, she had already remembered when Xiao Yang just broke into his own medicine bath very strangely, adding that he hated Xiao Yang at first. The disgust under the vigilance at this time is very obvious. What happened just now is a last resort. In fact, I came from the lotus leaf space. I was attacked when I was in the Bone Mountain just now, so I was so reckless. Seeing Sushuang's disgusted expression, Xiao Yang also scratched his head and explained. There must be some misunderstanding between the Xiao clan and the Guardian, and now if Xiao Yang does not explain this matter clearly, I am afraid that this guy will more firmly believe that the people of the Xiao clan are like this, so Xiao Yang can only bite the bullet. Assault. Xiao Yang, I think that you are a descendant of the blood of the Xiao family. In the past, I could not care about you. Sushuang said slowly as if she had the chance to win. That really couldn't be better. Xiao Yang heard the words, and immediately prepared to laugh, but before his voice fell, Sushuang opened her mouth. But you broke into the medicine garden for no reason and ruined my innocence. What's your explanation? The next moment, Sushuang was surrounded by ice chips with extremely hot fluctuations, guarding against Xiao Yang. The soul power Xiao Yang showed just now was even more tyrannical than himself. Sushuang did not believe that Xiao Yang, a descendant of the Xiao family, would be a gentleman, and every time she thinks of this, Sushuang is extremely depressed. She is such a beautiful lady, how can she be so unlucky every time she encounters Xiao Yang? Decades ago, he left here and went out to improve his strength. Xiao Yang almost did something that people and gods were angry with. Now Xiao Yang has seen him and ruined his innocence. This made Sushuang's killing intent towards Xiao Yang even more surging. Sushuang's strength, talent, and even beauty are among the best among the younger generation of guardians. She also hopes to provoke the thing the guardian is guarding, to stabilize the world, and she can experience a world in the world. Love, hate, hatred, but how could it be destroyed by Xiao Yang twice? The descendants of the Xiao family are all despicable and shameless bastard. Give me death. An extremely angry and light voice sounded slowly, and energy overflowed everywhere in the entire medicine garden, and circles of blue ice flames, like a storm tide, suddenly roared away at Xiao Yang, the terrifying power contained in it. I am afraid that the 6-star Doshian perfection powerhouse will not give in too much. What's the situation? Xiao Yang stood helplessly on the edge of the water, staring at Sushuang's stern attack, and almost wanted to scold Nuliang. What happened to this girl? However, Xiao Yang naturally didn't know what Sushuang was thinking. Boom. The power of cold was extremely hot, and two completely different forces wrapped the entire medicine pool, and immediately ate away the soul power of Xiao Yang. Sushuang. This is a misunderstanding. Xiao Yang used the power in his body and found that the fighting qi and holy flame in his body could barely be used, but they were not enough to resist an attack of this level. I'm afraid it would take a long time to fully recover, so he couldn't help roaring. Road. Because at this time Xiao Yang really felt the monstrous murderous aura from Sushuang's fierce offensive. Tell me what you discussed in this chapter this morning. 8 stars run all over the place, even 9 stars to the final peak. For sure, people can only contact more when they stand high. To make an analogy, you entered the city's number 1 high school with double 100 in elementary school. You think you are very good, but you forget that everyone who can enter here is the same as you who can almost double 100. Even later, you entered Tsinghua University and Peking University. Everyone is the top talent in their respective places, their strength and talent are similar, and the rest is just a matter of opportunity. So it's the same, pig's feet can only be stronger when the strength is high, don't you understand? After all, it is the whole world. This video will end here.